We are joined here by one of our clients, Michelle. And Michelle, if you wouldn't just mind kicking us off by telling us your first name, where you live, and what you do for a living.
Hey everyone, I am Michelle. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I am currently running a team of tech drivers at T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, what was it? Like, doo-doo-doo? I forget like that. The sound that goes off
That
when,
sounds right.
yeah,
T-Mobile.
yeah, that's it. Awesome, cool. Well, I'm wondering if you could help set the stage a little bit and tell us where you were in your job search before you came into career. So kind of what was happening and what made you
Yes.
reach out.
Yeah, so I've been at Meta for 7 years as a program manager. I was part of a layoff in early 2023, right after I had my second baby. So I needed some time to recover from all things, take a beat. So I started looking, I decided in the fall to kind of get really serious about the job hunt and gave it a few solid months of a lot of applying, a lot of self-driven attempts at strategy and goal setting. And then in the new year, I decided, okay, I could either wait till I burn out completely or I try something new. So that's when I started with Career Amp. Was about I felt very confident in my ability as a candidate, as an employee, but less confident about my experience in the search and the process, given I hadn't done it in 10 plus years.
Yeah,
And the ball game is very different.
yeah.
So I joined Career Amp when I was, halfway to burnout from the job search, halfway to panic, and joined Career Amp.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious if you did you look at other career coaching places and companies, and just curious on why you chose Career Amp versus maybe some of the others.
Yeah, so I had access to LHH through the layoff. So I did take advantage of the coach that I was assigned. I felt like with her, she was really good at kind of having an overarching sense of like the market, but less kind of intimate engagement.
Hmm.
I did do a few intro calls with individual kind of independent coaches. Um, they were not as focused on some of the areas that I really needed help with. They kind of focused on resumes, which I know that's important, but
Mhm.
I felt my experience was strong. So my background was there. It's just looking forward that I needed more of a landscape and a plan. So I wanted to do less looking backwards and more looking forwards. And I saw a post from you on LinkedIn that was just like a very inspirational story. And I thought I could keep going with applying to 10 jobs a week or do it differently.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And sometimes you just get fed up and you're like, I need to change. I need to shake it up.
Yeah. And the blind applying, it was fruitful in the fact that I had interviews from it. But it was really tiring and it didn't feel very connecting. It just felt very
Mhm.
transactional. And that was a bit of a drain.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, we're so glad you hopped inside, and you did. And so, what would you say? Maybe one of the first things that you noticed that you would call a win, big or small, just as you hopped in.
I thought that the onboarding process of a lot of self-reflection in, the first few modules, chapters,
Milestones is what we call them, but
milestones, edit that one. That was work I hadn't really done, and I was kind of just diving in. So that was I think a nice way to start and lay the landscape. I also had a few coaching sessions early on that helped me kind of determine which direction to point myself. I was kind
Mm,
of bordering kind of classic people focused learning and development and more product focused product opsy stuff, just kind of straddling the line and really not knowing what direction to point myself. So I was everywhere. So some of the conversations and insight from others helped at least ground myself for now to point more product focus versus people focus because I was quite burnt out on that side of my experience.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's so nice to like. And I was sharing this with you earlier. I have my own coach, right? And just getting out of our head and having
Yeah,
somebody kind of reflect back what you're saying so that you can find clarity is so important.
so important.
So important. That's cool. Okay. What would you say was your biggest win that you experienced inside of Korea?
Yeah, the side door, the kind of intentionality of that strategy of networking for me was it was an unlock. It just was a different way to spend my time.
Mm,
And it was a different way to engage with someone when it wasn't me asking for a job.
hmm.
So that felt like a really big win. It was just that idea of networking again, I hadn't done it in so long, and the idea of just doing it out of curiosity and engagement and partnership that was that was empowering and energizing after just pinging recruiters and following up with hiring managers and that type of strategy. This was a nice the side door technique was a good awakening.
Awesome. Side door for the win. For those of you look at side door. Very cool. That's awesome. All right. Last question here, Michelle, is if you were talking to somebody or somebody's watching this and they're on the fence on whether or not they want to join Career Amp, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think that Career Amp is a very viable and productive use of time and money. I explored other things. I even after being in Career Amp, I joined other groups and continued to keep the network alive and well. But I think with Career Amp, the internal network was really good. The one-on-one coaching, I've not gotten that in other opportunities. So that part kind of stood out. And then the side door kind of behavior also felt like the most matured networking suggestions I have seen. So that's what I would say.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, Michelle. Congrats again on your role, on your new role at T-Mobile. T-Mobile.
You know,
T-Mobile. Exactly.